Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Pi, inventor of type 2 diabetes, and today we're going to be cleaning out a nightmare garage. Now, this garage is owned by my oldest son, Jason. Longtime viewers of the channel will know him as Filth. If you have to ask, you haven't watched enough videos, man. Go back and watch them all, but not the beginning ones because those just had music in them and they suck. Anyway, let's talk about the condition of this garage. This house was owned by me and my ex-wife, Jason's mom, and I'm going to be honest here, we kept the place pretty trashed out. The garage was just where all of our extra crap went. When his mom and I split up, and don't worry, it's a friendly relationship. We don't hate each other or anything like that. I moved out, and then the garage just kind of never got cleaned, which is not to say that it got cleaned before, because it definitely didn't. So it became sort of a storage area for some stuff, and it became a holding ground for some junk. They just never made it out to the dump. So we live in a small town, and getting this stuff out to the dump requires us to get a hold of a pickup truck, which at the time nobody had. And we're not really in an area where trash pickup will grab this stuff for us. So it just sat there forever. So some of this stuff is junk, like old mattresses and old furniture that was broken. And then some of it was stuff that was actually being used for projects. His mom had a furniture restoration or like an upcycling business for a while that was really cool. She made some really cool furniture. But then she got out of it after a while. So all of the old furniture that she had bought to restore just kind of sat in the garage. Meanwhile, the garage door got broken. As you can see here, it looks nasty. It's off the tracks and there's no real fixing it. I mean, I made an attempt, but the wheels are just too gnarly to put back in. So eventually I ended up taking this off during the course of this cleanup, but like an idiot, I didn't film it. You'll see the aftermath of that later. Now, this was a really cool cleanup because all three of my kids are here. There's Jason, who's 24. There's Drew. He's the tall, skinny one with long hair. That's my middle son. He's 22. And then there's Adrian, who's 18. You'll see a little bit later that we got a dumpster. In fact, we got two dumpsters. We got a 20-yard dumpster, which turned out to not be enough. We completely filled it in the first day in just a matter of a couple of hours. Then I had to order a replacement and have that one hauled off. And I got the next step up, which was a 30-yard dumpster, and we ended up filling that one too. In total, I paid about $1,400 for dumpster fees because, again, in this area, it's small. So there may be dumpster companies, but all the dumpsters will be rented out, or the delivery fee to get them to me is too much. So the one that we found was in Indiana, and they were able to cross state lines, and they happened to be the cheapest in the area too. So even being the cheapest, it was still almost $1,400 to rent the dumpsters, which means that Jason now either owes me his firstborn child or the garage. Like, I now own the garage. We'll call it even. Though ironically, if I had that garage, I would just store all my junk in it and it would go right back to the same condition again. Now, unfortunately for the kid's mom, pretty much everything in here had to go. It was all water damaged. Rodents had been in there, birds. There was all kinds of, a variety of poop was on all of this stuff. The water damage was bad enough that it had rotted a lot of the wood, and there was a lot of black and white mold that permeated like half of this stuff. Fortunately for us, it was all damaged, which meant that we didn't have to sort anything. We could just throw almost everything in this whole garage away. We kept certain things, like there's a table saw, and there was one table that was in really good condition. We found some bikes, and then there were some stuff we couldn't throw away. So you're not allowed to throw away propane tanks, paint cans, TVs, pretty much any electronics that are like computer based, so old PC towers. So what we did was we set all that stuff that couldn't be thrown away normally in a dumpster. We put all that into a big pile in the back of the garage, and then the next time our city has a citywide cleanup, they do take those things for us. So we'll just take advantage of that next time that rolls around. Also, complete side note, but if you're wondering, Drew is about 6'5", which is hilarious watching him work beside Adrian, who's only 2'3". It's embarrassing how short she is. She is an embarrassment to the family, and I hereby expel her. I expunge her from the family for her shortness. It's been nice knowing you, Adrian. Now get out. I expunge thee. On another side note, if you're wondering why my voice sounds like a chain-smoking Thanos, it's because I've been sick for the last week, and I'm finally getting over it. But I went down to Nashville and had a vacation with my best friend, and right before I went down there, I started getting a sore throat and getting nasty feeling, and fortunately it didn't ruin my vacation, but it did make it to where I have to pause constantly to clear my throat while I'm doing this narration. So hopefully now that I'm out of Nashville and back in Illinois, my best friend will now be sick, to remind him that I'm a superior person and that at any moment I can control his health just with my presence. So that's how I roll, son. Call me making my best friend sick Johnny back in Nashville. Yo, man, is that old making his best friend sick Johnny? I don't know. Let's put him by his best friend and see if he pukes. I bet he does. Now, if you're wondering, this garage did not have a bad smell, at least not at first. This was all just open to the air. There wasn't any organic material in here. There wasn't any rotting food or dead rodents or anything like that. However, there is one black trash can that's sitting under a pile of just other crap. And at one point, Jason pulled the top off of it to see if we could use it for shoveling debris into or whatever, or hiding in a game of hide and go seek that is confined just solely to the garage. We didn't do that, but if we wanted to do that, we were free to do so. But he pulled off that lid, and there were old baby diapers in it from like 5 to 10 years ago. It was just an old trash can that never made it out to the curb. It got stuck in the garage, and then stuff piled on top of it, and it was containing the smell. When he opened that up, I have never smelled a worse thing in my life. I mean, raw sewage is one one thing, but this had time to marinate, to brew, to ferment. It was bad. So we chucked the whole trash can in the dumpster and just stayed away from it and breathed through our mouths throughout pretty much the whole rest of the cleaning after that. Now, this may be weird to say, but this cleanup was a lot of fun for me for two reasons. One, regular viewers know I'm autistic, and I like to take chaotic rooms or buildings and put them in order and make them all clean again. That's the whole reason that this channel exists. And this garage definitely fit that bill for me. So watching things go in the dumpster and then sweeping up the floor and watching it slowly clear up over time, that was just such a joy for me. But the other reason, and the more important one, is that I rarely get to see all three of my kids together. So having them all come out and take care of this with me and help me out was just a ton of fun. I give my kids crap on this channel all the time because that's our sense of humor. They give it right back to me constantly. It's just the way we interact, and we think it's funny because we're all weird. But my spirits were way up in this cleaning just watching all three of them interact with each other, especially now that they're all adults. And that allowed me to do what dads do, which is stand back, watch them, and try to figure out which one of them would survive if they broke out into some sort of post-apocalyptic battle, a battle for food and resources and superiority over the planet. I'd have to put my money on Drew because he's got the height and the reach if it went down to melee combat, but also he's a lot like me in that he's quiet and reserved, and I suspect that inside he's just a white-hot ball of rage, just ready to unleash on the first person who makes his day even slightly difficult. Even just a minor inconvenience, he's just going to explode and declare himself the king of the apocalyptic universe. Anyway, I think dads do that. I don't know. I do. Oh, hey, while I got your attention, there's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. First, we're about to cross 270,000 subscribers. We're so close to it. That's crazy. We are working toward our gold plaque, which doesn't really help me as far as, like the algorithm and all that crap goes. I just want a gold plaque, which is 1 million subscribers, so that I can shove that in the faces of all my kids and make them all cry. Because if you can't make your kids cry, I mean, what's the point? Why even have a YouTube channel? But the other thing is, we have a brand new t-shirt out. It's an Oh Look More Laundry shirt. I will link the merchandise store in the description, as well as the join button for our members only area. And again, if you don't take part in any of that stuff, no big deal. But if you could just hit the subscribe button so that I could make my kids' lives miserable and make them feel jealousy and shame, that would be awesome. And if you don't, you can just suck it. No big deal to me. I don't even care. I don't want devil worshippers to subscribe to me anyway. And that's what devil worshippers do. They maliciously don't subscribe to things. And I'm not supporting it. I'm not supporting their actions, or rather inactions. I'm not supporting their inactions. Devil worshippers. Now, we could have had this done in a single day had I got the right size dumpster to begin with, but unfortunately it had to go into a day 2 because since those dumpsters were coming from Indiana and they had to swap them out, we couldn't get the new dumpster in until the next day. It's probably for the better, because when I went home that night, even after just a couple of hours of throwing things around and moving furniture, I was sore. So I don't know. I would have probably been completely immobile had we done the entire garage all in one shot. Because on day 2, it was even worse than day 1 because we had all the really, really heavy stuff to move on day 2. Now you'll see Jason picking stuff up on day 2, but he's just moving it to the side so I could carry it like off camera. So I did it all myself, and Jason didn't help even a little bit. He just pretended that he was helping me carry things because he is a hateful, spiteful person. And I don't know how he lives with himself. Now, some things that we noticed as the garage got clearer and cleaner. One, the floor desperately needs power washed, but my power washer broke down, so I'm going to have to get a new one. There's also an old bucket of oil that had cracked, so there's a gigantic oil spot on the floor. I'm having Jason cover that with kitty litter to absorb it, and then once that's all absorbed, then we can go back and power wash the whole thing. Number two, all of the plywood and particle board and all that stuff that makes up the walls and the interior roof. Yeah, I said roof. I'm from Illinois, man. Let it go. All of that stuff is permeated with mold. So anything that's not rotten can be taken care of with a mold killer. Sometimes vinegar is good for that. Sometimes hydrogen peroxide. Bleach does nothing to mold. A lot of people think that bleach kills mold. It does not. It may discolor it, but it won't kill it. So we're either going to need to treat the entire interior of the garage with stuff that gets rid of mold, or at some point I'm going to need to strip that garage down to the studs and just rebuild the whole thing. But that's a job that's for way down the line, because at some point they're going to be taking down the house that they have and putting in a modular, and that may actually extend out to where the current garage is. So they may just be demoing the garage too whenever they replace the house. If that's the case, if they get rid of the garage, I will make a video of that, because I can actually demo that myself. I don't really use tools. I just spin kick it in the side and give it an uppercut, and then it kind of implodes and falls in on itself. And if I do that hard enough, all the wood and the materials that make up the garage kind of splinter out into a pile to where we can shovel those afterwards. It just depends on how pumped up I am that day and how gigantic I allow my muscles to get before I do the spin kick. But eventually that will happen. It'll make a pretty cool video. Some of the cooler things that we found in this garage would be Drew had a BB gun that he's had since he was a kid. We found 2 antique mirrors that the wood is not in great condition, but I think they can both be restored. So we kept those. We found a bike that hasn't been used in many, many years. But I think some of the cooler things we found would be 3 turntables that are the briefcase type ones where you can open them up and the turntable is like built into the briefcase. And then we found a cabinet turntable, and it's one of those where it's made out of wood and it's meant to look like an end table, but the top opens up to reveal the turntable inside. That did have damaged wood, but I think with the right person restoring it, they can actually get rid of the bottom, say 8 inches of the badly damaged wood, and then rebuild that and then restore it from there as far as restaining it, sanding it, and all that. But I kept it just in case because it's old, it looks antique, and it's just super cool. We found PC towers from like 2007. We found an old monitor that may have been 14 inches, which back in the day, that would have been like the talk of the neighborhood. My God, you've got a 14-inch monitor? Did you win the lottery? We found an extremely heavy tiller that just needs a wheel replacement. We found a bunch of baseball baseball cards that were sealed in one of those Rubbermaid tubs. And as far as I know, those are still safe. But probably the coolest was an old army trunk that had my ex-wife's stuff in it. And it was stuff that she's been collecting since she was in, say, elementary school. A whole bunch of memorabilia that she had from high school. And it had been put up above the garage door on one of the rafters. And man, I think I remember putting that up there myself when I lived in that house, and that would have been probably 20 years ago. So I would say at a minimum, it's been 2 decades since that trunk has been taken down or opened in any way, shape, or form. So we got that down, and then I had Drew bring that back to his mom. And I think it's cool that she would have been able to spend a night just rooting through there and finding old stuff that she forgot that she even had. Old pictures, old yearbooks, katanas and nunchucks, because she did used to be a ninja, like professionally. Like if you needed to hire a ninja back in the day, you had 2 choices. You either hired her or you found a way to resolve the problem without a ninja. So most of the people who regularly watch my channel already know this, but I'll say it again for those who don't. The first week of October, I will be doing a collaboration with Clean with Barbie and A Beautiful Mess. If you haven't seen their channels, they're great. They both clean up extreme places, and they're both just awesome women. But we are going to spend 4 days at a hoarder house, and we're all 3 going to be making videos and doing an awesome collaboration of us backflipping through the house and spin kicking dirt right in its stupid dirt face. We're doing that from October 1st through the 4th. So you can expect the video to be up sometime after the 4th. And the house that we're going to be doing is a fairly dire situation. The wife is disabled. The husband, from what I understand, is the one who has the main problem with hoarding. And they have, I believe she said, a 6-bedroom house. And this is a case of if this doesn't get cleaned up, the marriage is ending. So we have carte blanche to do what we need to do in order to get that house back in order. And the husband is leaving on a personal vacation while we do it so that he's not stopping us from getting rid of stuff. So anyway, it should be really, really interesting. I'm really happy to be able to help out with this one, and I'm crazy stoked about Barbie and Bonnie coming down to help me. We also may have Insider alongside us documenting what we're doing, interviewing us, and then they're going to do like a profile on their website or YouTube channel or wherever they're going to put it. But Insider's pretty big, so I'm really happy about that. I think that will be a huge help for the YouTube channel and getting us just that one step closer to hitting the 1 million subscriber goal. So suck it. I mentioned memberships earlier. For those of you who don't know, I have a members only section that's $4.99 a month. Do not do that if you can't afford it. That's just an extra section where I do some extra posts. I do 1 extra video per week for the members on Wednesday. Those are way more relaxed videos. Sometimes I take older videos that I've done that had just music in them, and I strip out the music and add brand new narration to it and do re-edits on all those old videos. Sometimes I just clean some stuff that you don't see on the main channel, and we talk about psychology and philosophy and news on the site. There's all kinds of stuff we discuss in there. Sometimes I do impromptu lives for just the members only. But again, if you can't afford that, please, for the love of God, don't do it. But if you'd like to help financially support the channel in some extra way, I don't do Patreon. I don't do GoFundMe's or Venmo or anything like that. The membership would be the way to do it. I do get asked asked all the time how people can donate to what I'm doing. I typically don't take donations for any of this. I do this all out of pocket. But we do have a super thanks button that should be on all my videos, and that's one of the ways that you can directly contribute to the channel. Again, if you can't afford it, don't do that. I'm doing okay financially. That's just a way to give a little extra support to the channel. That being said, members, I will see you on Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. And if you haven't seen the merch shop, even if you don't buy stuff, check it out. We've got some funny stuff in there. Anyway, later.
Does it feel like closing a gate to a castle? Yeah, pretty much.